Good? Well, it will sure make us feel good. Exactly. Besides, it's been months since we've shown one of your kind why us whites are so superior. Didn't you notice that our town is pure and untouched by your filth? We've managed to keep only good white people here, and damn it, we are going to continue to do so. They then dragged me from the car, just as they said they would. They beat me up severely, and then took my shoes and socks and told me that I was to walk out of town and to head home, although they wouldn't give me my cell phone back. Bruised and sore, I did as I was told, and started walking along the side of the road. I had no idea how long I had been walking. Hi there, my name is Reggie, and I have quite the story that I would love to tell you. It's probably my best story, to be honest. Although it started off innocent enough, I had gotten engaged to Laura a little over 6 months ago, and although I had asked more than once, I still hadn't met her family. She had always told me that she was from a small town, and her family wasn't very accepting of outsiders. Since I'm black, I just assumed that this meant that her entirely white family would probably have issue with their daughter engaged to a black man. I had prepared myself to not get along with my future in-laws, although I had no idea just how bad that relationship would end up being. However, there was always the chance that I was wrong, and so I told Laura that since we would soon be married, that whether they approved of me or not, that they should at least meet me first. If things didn't work out, then we would cross that bridge when we got to it. But for now, we would go into the situation with an open mind. When she called her family, they were excited to hear that she had gotten engaged, and we made plans to go and visit them over the weekend. I was working on a story for the magazine that I work for, and although I wasn't planning on working the entire weekend, I told Laura that I would be bringing my equipment and working a little on my latest story. As we drove through the center of town, we passed by a cop car that was parked on the side of the road. The 2 officers inside stared daggers at me. I wasn't sure why, but they looked very upset with me. The expressions on their faces made me think that they hated me. It made my skin crawl. Pulling up to the Laura's parents' house made me feel a bit more comfortable, that is, until her parents and brother came outside to greet us. Laura didn't notice, but all 3 of her family members stared at me with wide eyes, and I could tell that it was a shock to them to see a black man with Laura.
Mom, Dad, Caleb, this is my fiance Reggie. He's a writer for a magazine.
A basketball magazine?
No. He's a reporter. He writes for a news magazine. Hey, Mom, can you help me get my bags upstairs?
Laura and her mother went inside, which left me with her father and brother, both of which sneered at me. So what makes you think that I'll let my daughter marry someone like you? Don't you people know better than to date us white people? To think my own daughter would date some inhuman trash like you? If you know what's good for you, then you'll get out of town before we call up the sheriff and have him throw or drag you out of town. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but the second that Laura came back, they stopped and pretended to smile. Their expressions were so incredibly fake, but Laura couldn't tell. Later, when Laura and I were alone, I tried to tell her about what they said, but she wouldn't believe me. Babe, they threatened to have me dragged out of town. They hate me.
Oh, Reggie, they were just playing around. Trust me, my family is going to love you once they get to know you as well as I do. Just give them time to warm up. I promise that it will work out.
I liked her optimism, but I knew better. This wasn't the first time that I had encountered racist people before, and I knew that it could always get much worse. The next day, I grabbed a recording device from my work gear and hid it on my body so that it would record but not be obvious. I figured that if Laura heard her family being racist towards me, that she would agree that leaving was our best option. Once I was sure it was recording and not easily visible, I went downstairs to talk to Laura's father and brother. Hey guys, listen. I know that we got off on the wrong foot yesterday, but can we maybe find a way to make this work? Laura and I really love each other, and we would love for you guys to be happy for us. Happy? Why on earth would I be happy that my daughter was marrying a heathen like you? There's no way that I'll let a disgusting black man marry my daughter. I especially won't let her have any monster children with the likes of you. Like we said yesterday, you had better get out of town, but that's too late now. But you'll regret it. Just then, a police car pulled up and 2 officers got out. Okay, boy, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, although we would prefer the hard way. They looked like they were about to attack me any second. Listen, I didn't do anything wrong and I'm not looking for any trouble. Well, you didn't leave town, so trouble has come and found you. I didn't know what else to do, so I allowed them to handcuff me and take my cell phone, and as they half dragged me and half pushed me to the cop car. The one officer punched me a few times in the back. I couldn't defend myself. I just had to take the abuse. Luckily, I knew the microphone was going, so at least whatever they did, it was being recorded. Eventually, they threw me in the back of the car and then got in and we drove off. I had no idea what Laura's father was going to tell her, but I had more important things to worry about at the moment. After several miles, they pulled over to the side of the road. I could see a short way off in the distance the marker that was placed on the limits of the town. So we are feeling very generous, boy. We're only going to rough you up some and take your shoes. But then we'll let you walk home. How does that sound? Why? What good could that possibly serve? Good? Well, it will sure make us feel good. Exactly. Besides, it's been months since we've shown one of your kind why us whites are so superior. Didn't you notice that our town is pure and untouched by your filth? We've managed to keep only good white people here, and damn it, we are going to continue to do so. They then dragged me from the car, just as they said they would. They beat me up severely, and then took my shoes and socks and told me that I was to walk out of town and to head home, although they wouldn't give me my cell phone back. Bruised and sore, I did as I was told, and started walking along the side of the road. I had no idea how long I had been walking, but eventually a truck stopped and gave me a ride to the next town where I was able to call a friend and get them to wire me some money so I can rent a car and drive home. When I arrived, Laura was there waiting for me and she appeared very upset with me.
Reggie, I want you to tell me the truth. Why did you leave?
Better yet, instead of me telling you, why don't you listen to this? As I played the recording of what her father and brother said, followed by what the police did to me, her face went from concern to shock to outrage. By the end of it, she was beet red with anger. I then told her how I got home, and she began to sob uncontrollably.
They lied and said that you left with some floozy, that you had seen a girl drive up and gotten into her car and left. I didn't believe it, but all of them said the same thing over and over again, and when I tried to call you, the phone kept going to voicemail.
Well, the cops took my phone. I'm sorry that I couldn't get a hold of you sooner, but by the sounds of it, I'm not the first person to suffer this fate. And who knows if they were so gentle with the last guy.
So what do we do?
Well, I still love you. Do you still love me and want to marry me?
Yes, but after the way my family treated you. How could you want to marry me?
Because I'm marrying you, not them. Listen, I can't let this slide though. Those cops in that town need to be put on blast for what they did. They can't get away with this. Laura agreed, and that night I wrote a scathing story about how the police officers treated me and what they had said. I even included their actual names, and I mentioned how racist the town was, and that although I don't have specifics, that I suspect that mine wasn't an isolated incident. I then sent the story to my editor, and he loved it and printed it first online, and then when they released the monthly edition, they included it there as well. The story was read by thousands of people, and news outlets from all over the world contacted me to ask questions about the incident, which only brought more light to the story. The town ended up being overrun with reports, and eventually with law enforcement as well, that started looking into my allegations of wrongdoing by the local police department. It didn't take them long though, and within a few weeks, the police officers were arrested for wrongful arrests, assault, even drug trafficking. My future in-laws were harassed, both my news reporters and people online, that made their lives a living hell. So much, in fact, that they were forced to sell their house and move to a much smaller one halfway across the country. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get a lot for their house, as no one wanted to move to a town that was named one of the most racist towns in the country. The little money they made from the sale only got them a small trailer, which was barely big enough for one person, let alone three. They have even been doxxed and are constantly harassed in the new town. Laura even told me once the parents' car was stolen and was found in a nearby lake with notes inside saying this is for being racist. She also told me sometimes people refused to sell to them when they recognized them at the mall, so they ended up ordering things just online and barely stepped out. Her brother is finding it hard getting a job, and they all survive from her dad's pension, which isn't a lot. From what Laura knows, the three of them bicker all the time as they hate living there. For me though, I'm just glad that I was able to make those dirty cops pay for what they did, and the fact that Laura's racist family suffered as well as a result made it a major win in my book. There is a happy ending as well. Despite her family being trash and terrible people, we are still going to get married. At the end of the day, we really do love one another, and the idea of having children makes my heart fill with joy. Both because I know that we'll make great parents, but also because her family would be filled with rage at the thought of us having children. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.
I just couldn't match the brilliance of their genius daughter. The breaking point came when we both developed eye problems in our early teens. We were struggling to see the board at school and had headaches from straining our eyes. Our parents took us to the eye doctor, and we were both prescribed glasses. But when it came time to buy them, my parents decided only Sally deserved a pair.
We can't afford glasses for both of you, and Sally needs them more. After all, she takes studying more seriously.
But I need them too. I can barely see.
You'll manage, Anne. Sally has more important things to focus on.
I'll never forget the look on Sally's face as she put on her new glasses for the first time. She beamed, thrilled to finally see clearly. I sat quietly, blinking back tears, struggling to read the blurry words on the eye chart. That was when Sally began to change. She started to see herself the way my parents did. Better, smarter, more deserving. Slowly, she stopped inviting me to hang out with her. When we were little, my sister Sally and I were inseparable. We were only 2 years apart, so we did basically everything together. Played dress-up, built blanket forts, and made up silly songs we'd sing at the top of our lungs. Back then, I thought we were equals. Sally was my best friend, my partner in crime, but as soon as we started school, everything changed. Sally excelled at everything. She was reading chapter books by age 5, and by the time she was 6, she could solve math problems that even baffled older kids. I wasn't far behind her. I got good grades and worked hard. But to my parents, being close wasn't good enough. Sally became not just their daughter, but also their golden child.
Sally, you're so smart. We're so proud of you.
Anne, you should try harder. Look at your sister.
At first, their words stung, but I tried not to let them bother me. I told myself they didn't mean it, that maybe I just needed to work harder. But no matter how much effort I put in, I could never match Sally's level of brilliance, and my parents made sure I knew it. When report cards came home, Sally's would be covered in gold stars and glowing comments from her teachers. Mine, while not perfect, would have remarks like, "Anne is improving," or "Anne tries her best." But my parents didn't see improvement. They saw failure.
Anne, why can't you be more like Sally? Gosh, what is wrong with you?
By the time I was 10 and Sally was 12, the favoritism was no longer subtle. Birthdays were a glaring example. For Sally's 12th birthday, my parents threw a huge party with decorations, a magician, and a cake, shaped like her favorite book character. After the occasion, Mom asked me to tidy the whole house while Sally was sleeping. My 10th birthday, just a few weeks later, was a quiet dinner at home with a store-bought cake.
Sally deserves it. She works so hard. You don't do anything. You're just average, so you deserve an average celebration.
Their words made me feel so bad, but I kept quiet. Sally didn't seem to notice at first. She'd share her new toys with me, invite me to play with her friends, and try to include me in her world. But as we got older, the gap between us widened, and the favoritism began to seep into her too. When we were both in middle school, things escalated. My parents started buying Sally all sorts of nice things, new clothes, gadgets, and even a laptop. For me, there were hand-me-downs and the occasional thrift store find. I didn't mind the clothes so much, but what hurt was how blatant they were about it.
Sally needs this for her studies. You don't, since you hardly study.
But I did. I was always studying. I just couldn't match the brilliance of their genius daughter. The breaking point came when we both developed eye problems in our early teens. We were struggling to see the board at school and had headaches from straining our eyes. Our parents took us to the eye doctor, and we were both prescribed glasses. But when it came time to buy them, my parents decided only Sally deserved a pair.
We can't afford glasses for both of you, and Sally needs them more. After all, she takes studying more seriously.
But I need them too. I can barely see.
You'll manage, Anne. Sally has more important things to focus on.
I'll never forget the look on Sally's face as she put on her new glasses for the first time. She beamed, thrilled to finally see clearly. I sat quietly, blinking back tears, struggling to read the blurry words on the eye chart. That was when Sally began to change. She started to see herself the way my parents did. Better, smarter, more deserving. Slowly, she stopped inviting me to hang out with her friends and started making little comments that chipped away at me.
Why don't you try studying harder? Maybe then Mom and Dad will pay more attention to you.
It wasn't just words either. One day, I came home from school to find Sally using my sketchbook as scrap paper for her math problems. She'd scribbled equations all over my drawings. "Sally, why did you do that?" "That was my art."
It's just doodles, Anne. Not like it's important or anything.
I was furious. I didn't fight her. I simply waited until my parents returned home. I told them about it, but my parents brushed it off.
Sally probably didn't mean it. Don't overreact, Anne. Drawing isn't studying. You should be solving math problems like her, not drawing.
It was always the same story. No matter what Sally did, she could do no wrong. I tried to stand up for myself once, but it backfired. One evening, I asked my parents why they treated Sally so differently. "Why do you only buy things for Sally? Why don't I get the same attention?"
Anne, stop being jealous. Sally is special. You should be proud of her.
Yes. And instead of complaining, you should be grateful we're even putting up with your attitude.
Grateful? For what? For being ignored? For being treated like I didn't matter? I didn't say anything else that night, but something inside me shifted. I realized I would always come second in their eyes, no matter what I did. Sally, emboldened by our parents' favoritism, continued to make my life harder. She'd take my things without asking, mock my dreams of becoming an artist, and even blame me when something went wrong.
Anne, you're so useless. No wonder Mom and Dad don't bother with you.
Her words stung, but what hurt more was that deep down, I believed them. After years of being treated like an afterthought, I started to think maybe she was right. Maybe I wasn't good enough. One day, Sally destroyed one of my best art pieces, laughing when I yelled at her.
It's not like you were going to do anything with it. Let it go, Anne.
That was when I stopped trying to get along with her. Getting into college should have been one of the happiest moments of my life, but for me, it was otherwise. Sally got into a prestigious university to study medicine and surgery, and my parents couldn't stop bragging about her.
Sally is going to be a doctor. Can you believe it? She's going to make us so proud.
Meanwhile, when I shared my acceptance letter to an arts school, the joy in my voice was met with cold, disapproving stares.
Art school? What kind of career will that give you? You should be studying business or something useful.
But art is my passion. I've worked so hard for this.
Passion doesn't pay the bills, Anne. Be realistic.
After hours of arguing, they reluctantly agreed to pay half of my tuition, but only because I begged. I thought it was a small victory until I realized the cost. To make up for the other half, I had to give up an entire year to work and save every penny. I worked double shifts at a restaurant, scrubbing floors and serving meals, while Sally sailed through her first 2 years of college without a worry. By the time I was finally ready to start, Sally was already in her 3rd year. I was so excited to go to school too. But when I brought it up again, everything fell apart.
We've changed our minds. We can't afford even half your tuition anymore.
What? You promised.
Sally needs the money, Anne. She's going to be a doctor one day. She'll pay us back. You? You'll be an unknown artist, struggling to pay rent.
I'll work harder. Please, don't do this to me.
Anne, you're wasting our money. Find a real career or stop asking for money.
No matter how much I pleaded, they refused. The final blow came when my mother told me I was no longer welcome in their home.
You're an adult now. If you can't follow our advice, you can find somewhere else to stay.
I left that night with nothing but my backpack and tears. I returned to the restaurant where I worked, hoping my boss would at least let me sleep in the back room until I could figure things out. But Mrs. Carla, my boss, was kinder than I could have imagined. She took me to her home, where I met her husband, Andrew.
Anne, you have so much potential. Andrew's brother, Mr. Bennett, is a well-known artist. I think you should meet him.
Meeting Mr. Bennett changed everything. When he saw my sketches, he genuinely admired them.
You have a rare gift, Anne. I will help you.
He sponsored my education, paid for my supplies, and mentored me through art school. By the time I graduated, Mr. Bennett had already set me up with exhibitions and commissions. I went from the girl my parents dismissed to a name people in the art world recognized. Years later, during one of my biggest gallery exhibitions, my past came rushing back. I spotted my parents, Sally, and a little boy. They looked older, worn out, and desperate. They rushed toward me once they saw me.
Anne, please, we're so sorry for everything.
We've made terrible mistakes. Please forgive us.
Through tears, they told me everything. Sally had gotten pregnant in her 3rd year of college. Her boyfriend turned out to be abusive, beating her so badly that she gave birth prematurely. Her son, now 8 years old, had severe complications. He couldn't walk or talk, and the medical bills had drained them completely. Sally was working as a secretary, barely making enough to survive. My parents had sold almost everything they owned to keep him alive.
We're begging you, Anne, please help us.
Seeing them begging me was unreal. The same people who had called me a waste of time, who had thrown me out when I needed them most. Now they were here, begging for my help. I wasn't going to help them, but I didn't want to make them know so easily. Fine. Sit in the front row during my speech. They looked so relieved and they eagerly went to take their seats, but they didn't know what I had planned. When it was time for my speech, I stepped up to the podium and scanned the crowd. Then I pointed to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my family. Please stand. They stood, smiling stupidly. This is the family that abandoned me when I was young. They told me I was worthless, that I'd never amount to anything. They chased me out of their home and refused to help me when I needed them most. The room fell silent. My parents' smiles faded, replaced by looks of horror. And now, here they are, begging for my forgiveness. But let me be clear, I owe you all nothing. You're all strangers to me, and I want nothing to do with you. The crowd began applauding me. My family stood frozen, humiliated. Get out! And don't ever show your faces to me again. As they left the hall, heads hanging low, the audience jeered at them. I watched them go, feeling no regret. They never tried to contact me again. And I continued living the life I'd always dreamed of, surrounded by people who truly valued me for who I was. I later heard that since money was tight, my parents had to take jobs in a warehouse, lifting heavy cartons, and they often complained about backaches. Unfortunately for them, their boss was an art lover and had attended the show where I exposed them, so he hated them. He kept giving my parents the most difficult tasks, making their lives miserable while they earned peanuts. In the end, my parents, Sally and her son, ended up living in a 1-bedroom house. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome stories.